Hello, my name is Chandra Miller, and I am a flood warning program specialist here at the Flood Control District of Maricopa County. Today, I am going to be talking about the Cave Creek Flood Response Plan update. So the main idea of flood control and the flood warning branch is we need to figure out where the flood hazards are, how to prevent them, and how to reduce the risk of injury, loss of life, and property damage. We have 8 flood response plans throughout the county. They're for specific jurisdictions or watersheds. This particular one is operated by the town of Cave Creek, and they rely on support from Flood Control and National Weather Service. So the flood response plan has 5 different sections. It's flood detection, the knowing, and prediction. So where is it going to rain and where is it going to flood? Recognizing what that means, disseminating the information to the correct people. So that would be the correct agencies and departments within Cave Creek, and figuring out what you do in an emergency, where to go, what to do, who's doing what. So here's a location map just showing Cave Creek. Flood detection, I think we're all pretty familiar with. It's weather monitoring in our alert gauge network. The public can see our weather outlook, but as a branch, we also are sending out message 1, 2, 3, and 4. These messages are not for the public. They are for the individual agencies and departments that are responsible for responding to some type of flood event. So these are the town marshal, our sheriff's department, fire department, public works that are going to shut the streets down. Here's an example of what our weather outlook and message statement looks like. Here's some fun pictures at Cave Creek at Spur Cross, Cave Creek at Cave Creek, and Galloway Wash at Galloway Road. So these are the 3 main stream gauges that are within the town. A big part of the flood response plan is your flood threat recognition. So this is looking at particular road crossings and travel times and structures that may be within the flood hazard zone. We took a really good look and identified the road crossings that could have flooding. Low water crossings, culverts, bridges, all of them are combined. But we're looking at the road crossings and the available lead times that are identified on a watershed basis. So throughout the plan, there's detailed maps for each of the watersheds. The little caution signs with the numbers are the locations of the roadways. So these are the crossings of concern. You can look at number 5, come down here, and it says it's Desert Hills Road. So we'll touch on those yellow and alert levels in a little bit, but this is how you are finding the location. And then there's travel times that are also associated. So we have very detailed graphs in tables within the flood response plan that displays the 100-year discharge, distance, velocity, and travel time. So for that particular Desert Hills Drive, the 100-year discharge is 24,700 CFS. But we can look and we can see, oh, well, if our gauge upstream records a 100-year flow event, to get from 1 to 5, the flood wave will take 40 minutes. It's a very good tool to have to know how long it's going to take the water to go from one particular spot to another, especially if you need to send crews out to go barricade roads. The numbering continues throughout each of the watersheds. The discharge information is really useful because it can kind of help you prioritize which road is going to have higher velocity, higher discharge, and you can use it as a decision-making tool. We also identified structures at risk within the FEMA flood hazard zone. There are 88 structures identified. 52 of those are residential. These are very important to know the location of, because if there is a large flow along Cave Creek, these particular homes may be in jeopardy. And another big thing with Cave Creek is our loss of access. Because Cave Creek is so large and there's a lot of homes on the west side, the only way in and out is through Cave Creek. And if there is flow on Cave Creek, that means the residents can't get out and any emergency responders can't get in. Most of the people living there are aware that they just need to wait it out, but There are particular locations like Red Dog Drive. There is no stream gauge or rain gauge in the upper watershed. It is a location that we have identified would benefit from a rain gauge, but these people do have lots of access. So that's something that's very important for the emergency responders to know. Good communication is the key to making these work well. As flood control, we are sending out our messages and alerts, but it is the town of Cave Creek, and specifically the town marshal or the emergency services coordinator, who is in charge of reviewing all the outlooks, messages, and alerts sent from flood control and National Weather Service. They also coordinate with the appropriate personnel to declare an alert level. In Cave Creek, we have 2 alert levels, yellow alert and red alert. What does that mean? The routine is just our day-to-day. It's sunny and nice and amazing because we live in Arizona. A yellow alert is what the city will do during a flood event or leading up to a flood event. They put their town on standby that they're in a yellow alert. It's used for a situation that causes a higher degree of readiness than is normally present. And then a red alert is used when hazardous conditions are imminent or occurring. That can be a flash flood warning or a message 3 from flood control district. So it's kind of like a step up. What should the city be doing? And what roads are we going to need to look at? What homes may be in jeopardy? Because that's a lot to know for everyone. We have these flow charts, lay out what everybody should be doing at that particular alert level. So if I was Public Works and I worked for the town of Cave Creek and I found out it was a yellow alert, I could go right to this flow chart and find out what roads need to have barricades. And then there's also a flood condition map. For a yellow alert, there are not as many crossings of concern because there's no imminent hazard to life or property. But as we ramp up and we get to a red alert, you can see the town marshal needs to be aware of the loss of access. There's residential homes that are within the floodplain. And so we need to make sure we're monitoring that and making sure none of those people need to be evacuated. And he doesn't need to worry about closing the streets because Public Works has their own flow chart and they know exactly where they should be going and what they should be looking at also. So here's the red alert flood condition map. And then on top of this, there's our wall map. So the wall map has all of those locations. There's a large map mounted that they can put in their EOC. There is a brand new online flood response plan map. It is changed to the Google format. So I'll just open that map up real quick and show you guys. Well, this is the default view of the map. We have our rain gauges that will turn when there's actually rain, our stream gauges that change color and show the discharge. And then all of these black and green dots are the crossings of concern. So if you click on any of them, they will tell you the name, the location, and give you a picture of what that particular road crossing looks like. So this is Desert Hills Road, so location 5, and you can see this is Cave Creek. It's unbridged. And it definitely would need to be barricaded and these people lose access. The markers that are green will turn red and they will start flashing when they need to be closed. So operationally, Cave Creek can just keep this map open and they can get right to know when they need to close the road. They can also go to layers and do things like overlay the FEMA floodplains. They can overlay the watershed boundary. And if you click on the watershed, you can get to the flood condition maps right there. So a lot of tools in one place. All right, that is an overview of the Cave Creek Flood Response Plan. Again, we've taken a very, very in-depth look of everything in Cave Creek and how flooding would affect the town. And it's a coordinated effort through the county and the town. We can work together and try to keep everyone safe. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out